بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, for the month of March, the theme we're going to be talking about for this weekly halaqa will be Arkan al-Islam, the 5 pillars of Islam. And inshallah, today we'll be talking about the first pillar of Islam, which is the Shahada. The Shahada is the basis of our deen. It is a slogan of Tawheed. And many people, they mistake the Shahada as just something we say, just a phrase. They think that the Shahada is to say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, and that's it. But the Shahada is more than that. The Shahada is a verbal contract that you are making with Allah Azza wa Jal. When you say the Shahada with a pure and a sincere heart, you are making a promise to Allah Azza wa Jal. You are promising yourself and you are promising Allah Azza wa Jal that you will submit to Allah, and you are promising Him that Islam is your religion and that you will be following the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And because of the importance of the Shahada, the Sahaba, they didn't treat it as just a phrase. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba, and even the Muslims today, to this day, they are dying for the Shahada. Blood is being spilt over the Shahada. People are being killed purely for the sake of saying, my Lord is Allah. Why don't they let go of this word? Why don't they stop saying La ilaha illallah? Why is this word so important to them? Because like I said, it is a contract that they made with Allah Azza wa Jal. It is more important to them than life. And if you live your life with these words, and if you die upon these words, the reward is too much to measure. One day the Prophet Muhammad was attacked by a man. And this man was choking the Prophet Muhammad. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, he saw this. And he ran to the protection of the Prophet Muhammad. And he said, أَتَقْتُلُونَ رَجُلٌ أَيَقُولَ رَبِّيَ اللَّهِ? Are you seriously going to kill a man for saying, my Lord is Allah? This is the hatred that the disbelievers have towards us. Even the early Muslims, they used to be killed and tortured by the tyrants in Quraysh. If you look at Burma, you look at Afghanistan, you look at Iraq, you look at the Middle East today, thousands of Muslims tortured and persecuted and being killed only for saying La ilaha illallah. They did no crime. And they will never let go of this word. A true believer will never let go of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, because they know the status, they know the weight of this word. And the true virtue of the Shahada will be shown on the Day of Judgment. Yes, there's benefits that we get in the dunya, but the true benefits, the true virtue of the Shahada will be shown on the Day of Judgment. And the Day of Judgment is the day in which people will be drowning in their sweat. The day in which even the prophets will be sweating and they'll be scared and they won't know what's going to happen to them. The day, as Allah Azza wa Jalla says in the Quran, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. On that day, man will run from his brother. A man will run from his own brother, and his parents, and his wife, and his kids. And for each person, there's going to be problems for them that they won't even care about everyone else's problems. When their friends, when their family, when their most beloved people come to them, they're going to be running away saying, leave me alone, nafsi, nafsi. They only care about themselves. And in this dunya, we see our friends and we love them to death. And I especially see this with more of the gangster youth. The youth, unfortunately, that are involved with the drugs, involved with the partying and the alcohol. They have their group of friends, They have their group of friends and they call these people my ride or die boys. They say that these people, I'll do anything for them, I'll take a bullet for them. But wallahi, on the day of judgment, you'll be running away from these people. These so-called ride or die friends, you're going to be running away from them and saying, leave me alone. You won't help them for a second. But for the people, this is what happens to those who submit to the drugs and the alcohol and the partying and all that haram. But for the people who submit to Allah Azza wa Jal, for the people who live their life on La ilaha illallah, yani when all this mayhem is happening on the day of judgment, the ummah of Muhammad is going to be running. They're going to be running to Adam alayhi salatu wasalam. And they're going to say, oh Adam, intercede for us, help us, intercede for us. And Adam alayhi salatu wasalam, a prophet of Allah, he's going to be shaking. He's going to be scared. He's going to say, ilaykum anni, leave me alone. I don't know what's going to happen to myself. I disobeyed Allah. Today Allah is angrier like never before. Go to the next prophet. And then the whole nation will go to Prophet Nuh alayhi salatu wasalam. And again he will say, leave me alone. Allah is angrier like never before. I don't know what's going to happen to myself. Go to the next prophet. And they will go to Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam, and the same thing's going to happen. And then they will go to Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, and again the same conversation will happen. He will say, go to the next prophet. Then this nation will go to Prophet Isa alayhi salatu wasalam, and they will say, oh Isa, intercede for us, help us, intercede for us. And Isa alayhi salatu wasalam will say, the people in this dunya took me as a Lord. They worshipped me instead of Allah Azza wa Jal. How am I going to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I don't know what's going to happen to myself. Allah is angry like never before. Go to the next prophet. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will be standing. And all of mankind, all of Ummah Muhammad will go to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And they will say, Ya Rasulullah, intercede for us, help us, intercede for us. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will say, Ana laha, I am for this job, I am qualified for this. When all of mankind, when all of the other prophets will be saying, Nafsi, Nafsi, Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will be saying, Ummati, Ummati, my nation, my nation. When everyone else is being selfish, worrying about themselves, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will be worried about us. He'll be crying for us, not for him. And that is when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will turn to Allah, and he'll put his head down in sujood, and he'll start crying and making dua, making dua. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, Ya Muhammad, lift your head, raise your head, ask and I will give you. Intercede and your intercession will be accepted. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will say, Ya Allah, Ummati, Ummati, save my nation from the fire. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, okay, I will save any Muslim who had Iman the weight of a mustard seed in their heart. The weight of a mustard seed. If you have that much Iman in your heart, you're safe from the fire. Then the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will put his head down again. He said, that's not enough, I want more for my ummah. He'll continue making dua. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, Ya Muhammad, lift your head, ask and you will be granted. Intercede and your intercession will be accepted. And then he will say again, Ummati, Ummati, Ya Allah, please save my nation from the fire. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, okay, we will save anyone who had an atom's weight of Iman in their heart. Something you can't even see. An atom's weight of Iman. But still, Rasulullah ﷺ, our Prophet, our beloved, is not satisfied. He wants more for us. He wants the best of the best. So again, he goes down in sujood. He starts crying and making dua. And then Allah Azza wa Jalla said, Ya Rasulullah, Ya Muhammad, raise your head, ask and I will give you. Intercede and your intercession will be granted. And then the Prophet Muhammad says one last time, Ummati, Ummati, my nation, Ya Allah, save my nation from the hellfire. And Allah Azza wa Jal, He will say, any person who said, La ilaha illallah, Muhammadun Rasulullah, with a pure and sincere heart, I will take him out of the hellfire. Imagine. If once in your life, let's say you live to be 60 years old, if once in your 60 years, you spent 3 seconds to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, and it came from the bottom of your heart, those 3 seconds can save you from an eternity in hell. Allahu Akbar. The mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal, the power of these words. But if we're going to go back to those who didn't submit to Allah Azza wa Jal, those who chose to submit to the drugs, what will their case be? On that day, those people will have those drugs wrapped around their necks. They will be choking. Snakes and scorpions will be biting them as a punishment. Their tongues will be down to their waist like the dogs. And they will be forced to wear the sandals of hell, which will make their brains boil. See the difference? When you live your life by La ilaha illallah, you're getting saved from the hellfire. Even if you just said it once in your life with a pure heart, that one time will save you from the hellfire. But when you choose to submit to the haram, when you choose to go into the drugs and the partying and the dating and the alcohol, you get a punishment which wallahi, if we lived 1,000 years of pleasure in this dunya, it wouldn't be worth 5 minutes of that punishment. If we lived 1,000 years in this dunya, pleasure and anything we wanted and partying and this, 5 minutes of that punishment will make us forget about everything and make us regret our whole life. And my brothers and sisters, the goal in this halaqa was to shed some light on the Shahada and the virtues of it. And many people, unfortunately, the Muslim youth, we have a problem with the fitna. Especially in the public high schools and university, they go to the parties, they do drugs, they do this, they do that. And I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to protect us from this. But I see many times from the youth, people think that there's no hope for me. I've done so much wrong, I have mountains of sin, there's nothing that I can do to help myself. And the Prophet Muhammad gives us an example of a man who will come on the Day of Judgment. And this man, his record of deeds will be brought in front of him. And his bad deeds, he has so many bad deeds that they're going to be written on 99 scrolls. And each scroll, if you were to unroll it, it'll be as far as the eye can see. And this man, looking at all his sins, he says there's no hope for him. He said, Ya Allah, this is enough punishment for me, just put me in the hellfire. There's no hope for me. Allah Azza wa Jalla looks at this man and He says, I have one thing for you. I have a card. One small card. And this man says, what's one card gonna do in front of 99 scrolls of sins? Allah Azza wa Jalla will say, today is the day of justice. Today is the day of justice. So the scale will be brought forth. And the 99 scrolls of sins will be put on one side of the scale, and that one card will be put on the other side of the scale. Do you know what happens? That one card, that one small card turns out to be heavier than the 99 scrolls. Each scroll is as far as the eye can see. Why? 99 scrolls, each scroll as far as the eye can see, filled with bad deeds, and one card weighs more than all of that. And on that card is La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. Allahu Akbar. The power of this word. My brothers and sisters, keep this in your mind. These are words to live by. Don't just say it wa khalas. No. Live by them. Act by them. When you say La ilaha illallah, it means you have to pray 5 times a day. When you say La ilaha illallah, it means you have to pay your zakat. When you say La ilaha illallah, it means you have to fast Ramadan. When you say La ilaha illallah, it means you have to purify the intention and try to the best of your ability to go and attend Hajj. And I'm going to leave you with one last hadith. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Man kana akhir kalamihi La ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah. If your last words, whoever has their last words as La ilaha illallah, they will enter the paradise insha'Allah. So take this as a lesson and try to repeat the Shahada every once in a while. Remind yourself of the promise you made to Allah Azza wa Jal. Remind yourself of the Day of Judgment, and it could be something simple. It takes 3 seconds to say. You can say it before you go to sleep, and you can say it when you wake up. Keep it on your tongue. And wallahi, if you keep this phrase on your tongue and you live by this phrase and you act by it, you will not regret it. It will save you on the day of judgment, inshaAllah. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها ومولاها يا رب العالمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد في الأولين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الآخرين وصل على سيدنا محمد في الملئ الأعلى إلى يوم الدين. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. جزاكم الله خير.
لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله عليه صلاة الله وآله والأحبة